WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Pass rusher Khalil Mack, one of the most decorated outside linebackers in the history of the NFL, has made a decision on his future. A source told ESPN's Adam Schefter the 33-year-old will play in the 2025 season. He's set to be an unrestricted free agent for the first time in his 11-year career. The Chargers have said they hope to re-sign Mack if he decided to return in 2025. Quarterback Jalen Hurts' status will be the focus at the Eagles' first practice of the week today for the NFC Championship game versus the Commanders. He suffered a knee injury late in the Rams win. Coach Nick Sirianni said yesterday they're preparing for Hurts to play Sunday. Hurts has said he expects to play. One of the best freshmen in the country, Arkansas guard Boogie Flan, expected to miss the rest of the college basketball season with a hand injury. He's number 32 in ESPN's NBA draft rankings.
Eagle Masonry and Installation. It's right there in the name. Eagle is your one-stop shop for block, stone, or brickwork, monument signs, and outdoor kitchens and fireplaces. Eagle also offers the finest craftsmanship and insulation, including fiberglass or spray foam insulation, and of course, insulation removal. Philip Love and his team have years of experience, bringing the region the best in masonry and insulation services. For more information and a quote, visit insulatewitheagle.com or call 256-755-1556. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
Hold your block until the whistle blows.
From SEC Media Days to the National Championship game.
This was a great team win.
We are 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Joe Hunk, John Abraham, 256-576-4977. Welcome to the Blitz.
Hello and welcome in to a wacky Wednesday here on the Morning Blitz. John Abraham, Kevin Cool, Joe Hunk, and a whole lot of news stories to get into as we get off and rolling. I mean, I'm still trying to get adjusted to this whole situation that we got going on. So I don't even have a headset.
Yeah, no, I can tell, which means you need to put the music down. Thank you. Blaring in my ears. I mean, I love the song. That's why we picked the song. But still, it was loud. It is cold, as you can tell. The Hawk is not even a half mast. It's all the way down to the ground right now. And obviously, it is with the freezing cold, obviously comes a lot of people that are just trying to get to and from work. Like, it's a thing. And I love the cold. Like, I'm okay with this. Like, I'm okay with cold weather. But when I'm driving in every single day and I'm seeing my breath as I'm driving because the car still hasn't fully warmed up.
Yeah.
Or I like to – God, I always talk about the things I shouldn't be doing while I'm driving. But I have hot food in my hand because I've already warmed it up and I'm eating my pork chops.
Man's got the hot pie. He's making his whole breakfast while he's driving down the road. He's also got – a bluey going on his car. You're just having a wonderful time. But, Joe, here's the thing. At least you have all four of your windows up. My Mustang's window's still broken. Yeah. So whenever I get in my car, I'm not just seeing my breath. I'm still pretty much outside.
And I also have – what was it, Monday?
Yeah.
Yeah, Monday you drove the Mustang, and I pulled in, and I looked over, and I said – does he know he has a window down and it's 10 degrees outside?
No, it wasn't 10 degrees a few days ago. But I will say this, whenever it's under 20 degrees, 10 degrees doesn't feel too much different.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Like I've got the toboggan on again today. I had it on last night while we were doing the Havoc Hour. If you did miss that, go to WZZN TV. You can watch it there. As we had two more Havoc players on for the first time. Mason Palmer, which was an interesting one. His history is interesting, and I think that's the reason why I love getting different players on every single week, because we've yet to have the same players on 2 times in a row.
Yeah, and I feel like you're going to be able to get every single player if you keep at this pace.
Oh, yeah. I mean, even some of the new guys that are coming in, like Sam Ruffin just came in, and he's already made a big impact for the team. So, there's a period of time for him. But between having Palms on as well as Phil Elgstam, God, we'll get it eventually.
It's something that you got to just get accustomed to. The
no.
flow of the word, you know?
And there's a lot of players, and possibly with him, it's because he's been injured for a month, and so, or actually it's been more than a month. It's been 2.5 months, actually, since he's been injured. Philly has been injured pretty much the entire month of November and December, as well as January. He didn't get back on the ice until that matinee game that Huntsville had down in Birmingham with the extremely weird halftime show and a donkey and a blower, and it was weird.
Yeah, we don't talk about that anymore.
No. You shouldn't talk about that.
Yeah.
But it was cool having him on because they're two totally kind of different guys' personality. Philly, I'm calling him Philly. Never even asked him if anybody calls him that. Philly went to a military academy when he was in college, which was very interesting because obviously you just think of Air Force, Navy, Army, those types of places. But he went to what I think is one of the oldest military colleges in the U.S. And I was like, wait a second, were you in the military? He's like, no, I was there as obviously non-military. He goes, but we didn't get to sleep in. He's like, we literally had to wake up at like 5 a.m. because we're sleeping in our dorms. And next thing you know, cannons are going off and everybody that is in the military is up, doing workouts that early in the morning. He's like, so it's not like we got to sleep in. I was like, oh, well, okay, that's it. So
you got you didn't get any of the fun part of the military. You got all the bad parts of the military.
Yeah, he was the one that's like, dude, I'm trying to sleep here.
Yeah.
Boom. Okay, I'm up.
Got the horn.
I'm awake. Exactly.
Yeah,
and then you have Mason Palmer, who went to this high school that if you look it up, and we talked about it last night, it is nicknamed the Hogwarts of hockey. And it's so interesting because when you look at the list of hockey players that have come from his high school that he went to, the list is absolutely amazing to see. And at the top of the list is Sidney Crosby.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a pretty notable name.
It's not like it's just, he's this guy that's on the third line of some NHL team. No, it's Sidney Crosby that is arguably the greatest hockey player to play since Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah, you could say that.
Yeah, and again, if it wasn't for the concussions, his stats would be even more padded than what they already are. And so it was interesting to talk to him about this Hogwarts of hockey that he went to as far as a school is concerned. And interestingly enough, and I brought this up, did you even know the answer to the question when I asked him about famous alumni that went to his high school? Because it's not just a hockey school. It's not like, an IMG Academy for just hockey.
I wouldn't, lie to you and tell you exactly what you said, but I honestly forgot exactly what you said. I was too busy being in the zone, making sure the show looked amazing over on WZZN TV.
I am never, ever, ever not going to say that the only reason the Havoc Hour looks as good as it is. Stop waving your hand. I'm going to shut up right now. I swear I will stop
Joe,
this compliment.
I'll turn this around. The only reason it sounds so good is because you're on it.
No. I will turn this bus around right now, and we will not get into compliment station, okay?
I've already done it.
So the only reason this thing looks as good as it is, and it allows me the opportunity to talk without having to really think about everything else that's going on, is because John is there killing it, whether it's at the VBC or Zambrewski's every single Tuesday night at 6. He's the one that's manning everything, and I absolutely cannot say thank you enough unless you continue to do the wave, and then I'm done.
Oh, it's okay. I'm done with the wave already.
Okay,
I got
good.
my second wave out. But I appreciate it, and it is a lot of fun to get to talk to a lot of these guys that we get to see on the ice almost every single weekend. So I'm all for it, and just because the product looks good, as well as, it's only an hour, so it's not like too much skid off my back.
It's not like Zambrewski's isn't an awesome venue, especially like what I love is all the parents that come up there for their kids because their kids are practicing on the ice, and as they're practicing, they turn around and they go, oh, what's this? What you guys doing? Y'all doing a little show over here?
Yeah,
Y'all doing a little show?
And at the end of the day, I mean, we got some of the people that come up to us and they're offering us drinks.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, I'll go for an hour, get a free drink. I didn't take it, but I mean, I'll go for it.
The season ticket holders that come, as well as all the fans, and I the Havoc fans because they wear the gear.
Yeah.
We had Havoc fans there in their jerseys. The players will hang out for a little bit, sign some autographs, talk with people.
Joe, I need one of the glow-in-the-dark jerseys. Can we get
Dude,
with
they
Lucas?
got to at least play the game first.
I know, but there's people walking around with them already. I like the way they look.
Well, and that wasn't even the glow-in-the-dark jersey. That was a jersey from last season. It just
Really?
has the logo because that's the logo that's also being used.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember
That's
that.
that was
okay.
like the 90s night ones because that looks like the Goofy movie like we talked about a few weeks
I
ago.
thought that was a brand new
No,
logo they
no,
added
no.
on. Okay.
No,
I'm
so
wrong.
yeah, so
I'm wrong.
there's a fan there that was rocking a Robo jersey, and it was really cool to kind of see that because we have season ticket holders, you have fans that come and get autographs and talk with the players. Even Coach Steffett, look, man, Coach is even kind of starting to chill out a little bit.
Oh yeah, he is.
We learned that he was a Blink 182 fan.
It's pretty dope.
So now, anytime that Coach is going to come on with us, we got to make sure we have some Blink 182 for him.
There you go. Make him feel at home.
Exactly. So we found out that he was a Blink 182 fan. He's also a country music fan. So we're learning a little bit about the coaches as they come back on. What I like to say about the Havoc Hour is it's about 10% real hockey questions and 90% us just having fun and talking about just the players and who they are as human beings.
Yeah, it surely is a lot of fun, Joe, but we have a lot of other things on the bulletin today.
Yeah.
As we have to talk a little bit about SEC basketball. Not too many games last night, but enough to kind of whet our palate. On top of that, we do need to talk with RJ White from Sportsline.com, get a little bit more info on the teams remaining within the NFL playoffs because, oh boy, we have an interesting slate of matchups. And then on top of all of that, we can also get into a little bit of the coaching changes that are going on in the football realm, specifically around the Patriots, which if you've seen, they picked up a guy yet again for his third stint, and he's joining Mike Vrabel for the second time.
And I honestly can't make fun of the man for going back to New England. I mean, heck, this is my second trip to 97.7. Like, it's not like, if it doesn't work out somewhere, you can always come back home again. Like, it's one of those.
Yeah.
And he's proving that. And,
Yeah.
and look, the part is I think in this aspect of it, this is going to be, and we'll talk more about this with RJ White, this is the time where he's like, you know what? I'm good.
Yeah.
Like we talk about with Brian Callahan and his dad Bill Callahan. We were talking with Rhett Bryan yesterday about Bones coming over to special teams for the Tennessee Titans and the fact that he's like the #1 special teams coach in the NFL. Bill Callahan is the #1 offensive line coach in the NFL. And you at some point in time you go, you know what? I know what I am, and I'm just going to have fun with it, and I'm not going to worry about all this other stuff. I'm just going to focus on being the best at this one particular thing that I do.
No doubt about that.
And I think that you're going to see that more and more with a lot of coaches that do try to take that step. And so we'll talk more about that as we continue. We also, because it's not just the Havoc that we're making some waves last night, the Nashville Preds. The Preds, 4-game winning streak, and they come back from being down 5-1. And if you're sitting here thinking, wait a second, are they talking Preds? Hey, did you guys, you may not have noticed this over the weekend. There were some Preds players that came down to the Iceplex where we were last night.
Really?
Yeah. One of which was one that had to do with a lot of what's happened. Matter of fact, both of them did. Ryan O'Reilly as well as Jonathan Machiso.
Really?
Both of those players were down at the Iceplex over the weekend.
The hell were they doing there?
Hanging out. Well, see,
Oh.
they have something that they call Junior Preds.
Okay, so they had to. Did
And
the
so-
Junior Preds play somewhere at the Iceplex?
No, so what the Junior Preds are, and this is something I want to get my son in, and actually Coach and I talked about this beforehand, is the Junior Preds is a beginner hockey league that the Nashville Preds has organized to teach kids how to play hockey.
I already knew this.
I know you did. Shut up. And so what happens is obviously the Preds players and stuff kind of go around and visit and all this. But the cool thing about it is if you're like if you have a kid, kind of like my son, because my son went skating for the first time over Christmas, and he's like, man, I really think I would love how to learn how to play hockey and do all that. I was like, hey man, I want you to play as many sports as possible.
Why don't we also join a beer league? Because, I mean, I know there's a lot that go on at the Iceplex.
Because I also kind of need to join the Junior Preds.
Oh, you need to start out small.
Because I need to learn how to skate very,
Okay.
like
Yeah,
an adult.
I got you.
Instead of, pizza, fries. And so it's, I kind of need to join Junior Preds, so maybe my son and I can do like a father-son deal.
I got some rollerblades you could use.
I actually during the Mighty Ducks days, I was all about it.
Then it'll come
But-
to you pretty easily.
But at the same time, hockey wasn't as big in Huntsville in the early 90s as it is now. And so the junior preds, what they do is if you sign your kids up, not only the money that it costs, because it is like $250, $300, but the money that it costs to get in, the team sends you all of the gear that you need. Skates, pads, stick, everything, head to toe, so you don't have to pay an entry fee and also pay for your gear. So it gives you your gear that you get, and obviously they have leagues and all this, and I know some kids who are parents whose kids have went through junior pred stuff, so it's really kind of cool, but I think that it was because of that.
Yeah.
Is the reason why they were in town. So you have every bit of that, including the fact that Alabama had 3 players that scored over 20 points last night, and Mark Sears decided, you know what, I know we're playing Vandy, but I kind of also want to see if I can score 20 without really shooting any threes.
Yeah, and it was a huge game for the bench as well. So that's one thing I want to definitely focus on later on to the show. But before we hop into a break, I do want to throw this out to you, Joe. I don't know if you noticed it. You were too busy with the Havoc Hour, all right? Rightfully so.
Absolutely.
But Sparkman's junior defensive lineman, Jamarion Matthews, he's gotten plenty of letters. He's plenty of offers.
I mean, at this point in time, I'm shocked the Patriots haven't sent him a letter.
Exactly. Yeah, he got a nice little offer from Brian Kelly and LSU just last night. So just adding on to the fact that he's already gotten visits with Florida State, he's visiting with Vanderbilt. I mean, there's just so many teams that are keeping eyes on this kid.
He's gotten offers from Penn State, from Alabama, from Ole Miss.
It's going to be interesting to see whether or not he sticks with Coach Ronnie Watson and this Sparkman team moving forward.
And I really want him to.
Yeah.
And I know that that's kind of the I'll say elephant in the room. You know, I think that it'd be great for the community because I know in situations like this, a lot of kids are going to be transferring away and all this, and they'll be going to bigger schools that are going to be able to get a little bit more spotlight on them. And it's not just him if he were to ever choose to do so. But I mean, it's a lot of kids, especially because again, like, you know, you can ask Drew. What does Drew say all the time about North Alabama? We're a basketball area. We're not so much of the football area. Look at what we do kind of in the first round of the playoffs. I would love for us to be able to make third-round runs and make it to the Super 7 and all of this more than what actually happens, you know, because we get 1 or 2 teams every year. But, you know, Central Alabama, South Alabama, those are more of the football areas for the state. And a lot of times kids are going to want to transfer somewhere right there where they can continue to grow a little bit.
And also make some money in the meantime.
Well, and
that's something that helps
it is
out.
part of it. And I'm not saying any of that's happening with him. What I am saying is that if in his situation, we see this in basketball a lot. Again, you were covering a basketball player last year.
Yeah. Caleb Holt.
Went to another school just so he could get a little bit more exposure.
Well, some would be, you know, I don't want to say exactly why he transferred, but
again,
I mean, a little bit might be the money. Another bit might be you've learned all you could from one coach and you want to go and see if you can learn some more.
And so, you know, I really do hope that he does stay at Sparkman because I think that for Coach and for, you know, obviously we've gotten to know a lot of the coaches. I mean, obviously you and I were keeping up with what was happening with their defensive coordinator. Matter of fact, I was like, hey, man, we need to text, see if everything is okay because he just got put in the hospital for a period of time for something. And, you know, those types of situations are something that kind of helps us gain a little bit, get us closer and closer to the staff as people. Like, you know, like I was talking to you last night about, you know, Coach Stephan and the Havoc. Like, he and I are just sitting there going, and I was looking at him going, so, did you have your Christmas lights taken down yet? Are they still up? Like, you know, just things like that.
Yeah.
Not so much hockey. Hey, Coach, what's your, you know, the bands and all that. He's like, man, I was upset because the concert got canceled and Blink-182 was supposed to perform, and I was getting excited about, like, you know, we learn more and more about them as people, and we get closer. And so I kind of hope that for those guys that they get to experience this ride with him.
Yeah.
Because it would be really cool for if he makes it to not just college but to the NFL, and he's playing on Sunday Night Football, and he says, you know what, I don't want to say my college, I want to say my hometown. He says Harvest.
Yeah.
And he doesn't say somewhere like Mobile or something like that. Like, I kind of would like to see that.
No doubt about that. Well, you'd also like to throw out the sponsor of the show,
which would be Fleming Roofing
Yes.
and Restoration, which I know a lot of people are needing to pay attention to because of the snow, the ice, and everything else.
Yeah, these are the guys that you need to talk to about all of your roofing needs. If you're having any roofing problems, make sure you look them up online at FlemingHSV.com to fill out your free quote today. And remember that Fleming always shows up. Fleming's always a great addition to the golf tournament that we have. later on throughout the year, of course, to support the Make-A-Wish Foundation or any charity. So if you guys do want to be involved in that and you have a business that you want sponsoring a team, then definitely call on in to the station
256-576-4977. It isn't Vrabel had his offensive coordinator named yesterday, and just a few seconds ago he named his defensive coordinator.
Ooh.
And yes, it does have some local ties to our listening area in North Alabama and South Tennessee.
Heck yeah.
So RJ White is about to be joining us. We'll talk to him about that as we continue on ESPN Winchester on 97.7 ESPN The Zone on WZZN TV and the Blitz.
Isn't the story of the prodigal son an amazing story? Basically, a rowdy boy who literally wished his father dead ran away and consumed his wealth with hard and fast living. Yet the father looked for his return every day, and when the boy got tired of eating pig slop, he decided to return. What did the father do? As soon as he saw that boy, he ran to him, threw his arms around him, and killed the fatted calf for a great celebration. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of the Cross Point Church. If you're looking for a church home, come see us, smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison.
Are you tired of power outages disrupting your life? It's time for a Generac standby generator from Current Electrical. Storms may rage outside, but inside your family's powered up. So why choose Current Electrical for your generator needs? 1, we offer a wide range of models to suit every budgeted energy requirement. 2, our project managers handle every step of the process: power, gas, permitting, and inspections. 3, our certified technicians install your generator with precision, ensuring peace of mind. Don't wait for the next blackout. Call 256-880-1880 or visit us online at GenSuperstore.com.
What does it mean to be a part of the Southeastern Conference? That you scheduled your wedding and even your child's birth around your school's game? Of course. But it means more than that. It means you're home to hundreds of Fulbright, Truman, Goldwater, and Rhodes Scholars. It means starting out as the birthplace of American public higher education, and now leading the way in unmanned spacecraft. This is the SEC, and here it just means more. What does it mean to be a part of the Southeastern Conference? That there's an honest-to-goodness chandelier in your tailgate tent? Perhaps, but it means more than that. It means pioneering medical solutions to predict new flu viruses. It means leading globally diverse teams to eliminate starvation in developing countries. And it means being home to one of the nation's top cybersecurity programs. This is the SEC. And here, it just means more.
1 in 3 adults in America have prediabetes, but most don't know it. To let people know it can be reversed before it becomes type 2 diabetes, professional basketball player Julius Randle is doing everything in reverse.
I'm only dunking with reverse windmills. I drove the whole way to practice in reverse. I don't recommend it. This move's called the reverse shuffle. I do recommend it. And it took me months to learn how to speak in reverse, like this. Years 10 almost for diabetes type 2 with living Ben has mom my. In other words, my mom has been living with type 2 diabetes for almost 10 years. So together, we want to say to the 84 million Americans at risk, exercise and healthy eating can help reverse prediabetes. Start by taking a simple 1-minute risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
Bet he can't say that in reverse.
My name is DeMar Hamlin. I play for the Buffalo Bills, and I play safety. CPR saved my life. I've teamed up with the American Heart Association as a national ambassador to help create a nation of lifesavers, turning bystanders into lifesavers through CPR education and access to AEDs. Nearly 3 out of 4 cardiac arrests that don't happen in hospitals happen in homes. Join me to ensure everyone has the chance to live longer, healthier lives. Visit heart.org/nation.
Attention, attention, may I have the camp's attention?
Your home of the college football playoffs.
Playoffs?
Is 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Playoffs? Playoffs?
Hello and welcome back into the Morning Blitz. John Abraham, Joe Hunk. Here on this wacky Wednesday. It's a Wednesday, right? I'm losing track of time.
No, it is a Wednesday. It is
merging
absolutely
together.
You know, it is a Wednesday.
Yeah.
We have UAH basketball tomorrow night in Valdosta. We have Havoc hockey on Sunday evening at 5 o'clock. Wiener dog races.
Oh, yeah. And we have the NFL playoffs for you this weekend, which I am very much looking forward to. I got to admit, I'm a little bit biased towards, of course, football. I will say that Jeff from the Borough is kind of right in the way that I love it. I'll talk about it continuously, all right? But at the same time, there is some times where we need to talk a little bit about SEC basketball.
That's not the time right
But that's not the time right now. No, we're talking about football. Yeah,
No.
no. And we got on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline as well as over on WZZN TV, a great friend of ours. It's one Mr. RJ White from sportsline.com. RJ, how are you doing today, brother?
I'm doing good. How are you?
It's always great to hear from you, man. We are doing well over here. It's a little cold, but it's not snowing, so we're able to at least get to work. But I will say this. It was snowing this past weekend at least, and we got to see a lot of fun games between some fun teams, but we also got to see some upsets, and one of those consists of that Commanders versus Lions matchup, and I want to know your opinions on it. Is Jaden Daniels just a totally different type of football player that's going to throw all of the history books just out the window?
Well, it's certainly possible. He looks like, the best quarterback in that class at this point, obviously. And then we look back, even early in the season, he was doing things that no rookie, frankly, no quarterback had ever done with his completion percentage and how good he was down that early stretch. And so we're like, if this is the ceiling, it's pretty high, and he could turn into one of these elite quarterbacks, that Mahomes, Allen level. Maybe we're seeing it in the playoffs. I do think he's got a little bit of a break with the defenses that he has seen. The Bucs were dealing with injuries in the secondary. We all know the issues with the Lions' defensive injuries on that side. So we'll see if Washington can keep it up against an Eagles team that has been very good defensively. I know that Daniels had success in that first meeting. We're able to win that game off the back of even, I think, despite the turnovers that he had in that game. I don't know that that's going to be the same thing that's going to work in this case in Philly in January. So should be an exciting game.
Yeah, no doubt about that. That Eagles defense is stout, and that Eagles offense is very methodical. As I've talked plenty about those teams over in the national championship, how they played. But Jared Goff, of course, threw 3 interceptions, got a little bit banged up in this game. But you look towards the future, and there's a little bit of changes with this coaching, situation. I mean, is this a Lions team that should be able to make it back to this position yet again next year, except for maybe on a better note?
It's hard to say because Brent Johnson does so much for that offense. We saw he's kind of gotten Jared Goff playing at his absolute ceiling at this point. When you think about Jared Goff's upside, he's really needed that elite offensive play caller to unlock his potential. And he's a great quarterback. But for him to be able to do it with an unproven offensive coordinator, if they promote from within, it's going to need to remain to be seen. We know Ben Johnson's been like the number one candidate for a head coach in waiting for the longest time now. So losing that type of guy, that talent calling the plays, it's going to be tough. They do have great offensive line, best offensive line in football. Hopefully they'll get more injury help on the defensive side of the ball, and maybe they can compete. It is a tough conference. So Ben Johnson, interestingly, stayed in that division. So he probably doesn't feel like the Detroit ceiling is too high if he thinks that he can go to Chicago and beat them for a division within the first few years of his tenure. So it should be competitive in that division, I think, with a coach that they know well taking over the Chicago job with a great group of talent on his end. So we'll see how it goes. I'm not really predicting it. I wouldn't bet them. Early 2026 Super Bowl odds have come out. Would not bet them at their current odds. I think they're going to be overvalued heading into the season.
Well, and with the Bills, I was sitting here, RJ, and I had this pie-in-the-sky dream of all of us being in New Orleans, and it was Lions and Bills, and somebody's streak was finally going to end, like it was the 2016 World Series between the Indians and the Cubs. Like, somebody's streak's going to end. We're not getting it with the Lions, but do we really see the potential of the Bills and Josh Allen going into Arrowhead this weekend and beating Patrick Mahomes?
It's certainly possible. They've done it in the regular season several times. They did it again this year. It just hasn't happened in January. And the Bills have been the better team. I think over the course of the season, we've all been waiting for the Chiefs to take that step up. We know is coming. And I don't really think it happened against Houston. I know they won relatively comfortably, but the offense wasn't great. Had like 212 yards of offense. I think 4.2 yards per play. And they really couldn't do anything outside of Xavier Worthy hitting a few, big plays here and there, a few key catches. I don't think that's going to flat the Bills. You're going to have to play better, and potentially they can do that. We saw Kelsey was his vintage form in that Houston game, and he kind of carried that team. Maybe he'll do that again against Buffalo. But that Buffalo offense, as we know, has a lot more teeth to it than the Houston offense. So if they get going, and they're going to need to win a shootout, and that 23-point game isn't going to cut it for Kansas City. I do think we're probably going to get a shootout. We'll see the health of the Buffalo secondary going into the game. They're dealing with a few injuries on that side of the ball. If they're missing guys, it's going to be a lot easier for Patrick Mahomes to get the win. But if they're relatively healthy going into that game, I think Buffalo can go in there and win.
Well, is this a situation that you go back to what happened earlier in the season and the Josh Allen drive to beat Kansas City and to give them their first real loss and their only real loss of the season? And was that like a turning point for him as a quarterback in saying, I know I can beat this, and now I just need to go do it in the playoffs? Or is it too much thinking that that was his Jordan over the Pistons moment?
Well, he's done it before plenty of times. We've kind of, the Bills have handled the Chiefs in the regular season, and it hasn't mattered. I think the big moment for him was last week against the Ravens. That's the type of game where the Bills have tended to lose in the past. And I think you saw one situation where he was under pressure, where he would typically throw a bonehead interception, and we'd be like, same old Josh Allen. And he ate the ball, and he took a sack, and then they went out and won the game anyway. So if he's making those type of decisions, and which we have seen of him this year, his interception rate has been cut down significantly from where it used to be. He can go out and beat anyone with his talent. And it's interesting, the Chiefs have a great set of cornerbacks, kind of like Texans, kind of like Ravens. But their Bills' offense is built around not having a number one receiver. So if you go out and take away Amari Cooper, you get beat by Khalil Shakir. You try to take away Khalil Shakir, then Curtis Samuel's getting long touchdowns. So it's just, you never know who you're going to get if you're the defense trying to set up against the Bills. You got to have a lot of depth in that secondary. And we saw, frankly, that the middle of the field was open for the Texans in that Chiefs game over and over again. So if the Bills are able to exploit that, I mean, we're going to have a type of 34-31 type of classic, I think, in this game.
And I can't wait for it. I definitely, I've been looking at this Bills team throughout the playoffs, and I just see these matchups, and they're so fun to watch. And obviously, they get the bye, then they face off against the Baltimore Ravens, and this one right here, it was a decent game for Josh Allen, but it wasn't like it was an amazing game. Outside of the 2 touchdowns that he had rushing, if you take those away, then it was just another game for a quarterback. Looking on the flip side, Lamar Jackson had himself a pretty good game. Obviously, that early interception was not pretty at all, and all of those dropped passes from Mark Andrews were definitely something. But at the end of the day, how did this kind of change the odds for the MVP in this season?
Well, the odds won't really change. They don't let you bet on the MVP after voting closes, and it closes at the end of the regular season. So we're kind of locked in. I think expectation probably is that Lamar probably took a lead in some people's heads because he seemed like he outplayed him in that game, except for the turnovers. But turnovers are a key thing. That's what the dog Josh Allen and kept him from being an MVP. So we'll see how the results of the voting will turn out. I thought that Lamar Jackson had a better season than Josh Allen. Just if you throw out what happened last year, I know that the impetus is not to give it to a guy repeat unless he has an amazing season. But I look at Lamar Jackson and his stats, like it's one of the best quarterback seasons we've ever seen. And to just throw that aside for Josh Allen because it's quote unquote his time, it doesn't really seem like we're voting on the most valuable player of the 2024 season in a bubble if you do that. So I think both players are very deserving. I'm a Bills fan. I should be, giving you all the reasons why Josh Allen should win, but I just think Lamar Jackson was slightly better this year. And any argument you make for Allen about being irreplaceable in the offense and those type of things apply to Lamar as well.
RJ White joins us from Sportsline, and you mentioned you being a Bills fan, and we kind of talk about especially with our listeners in ESPN Winchester is like the battered Vol syndrome, where you're sitting here going, okay, I'm not going to get my hopes up. But this Bills team, and again, you're one win away from doing this. Is there any sort of like battered Bills syndrome of like, hey, we've been here before. We know what could happen, and we even know what could happen if we get to the next game. Is any of that kind of, as the fan side of you, kind of hopping in it a little?
At this point, no. We've kind of dealt with it so many years that you kind of expect the worst to happen, and you're prepared for it. So you need to prepare yourself for the best too. You can't just root for sports expecting the worst. Otherwise, why are we watching this game? So I think you need to be open to the possibility of, look, the Chiefs do not look like the juggernaut like they have in the past. We have beat them regularly in the regular season. There's no how can we get past this team? Because we've done it several times. We just haven't done it when it matters. And we've had our chances. We know the 13-second game. We know the close games that they've played in the playoffs before. We know we're capable of it. The Bills know they're capable of it. So they just need to go out and execute and do it. Execute at a higher level than they have in past years, and that's what Josh Allen has done for most of this year. So, I'm not going to come out here and guarantee a win and say that we're way better than them. We should win. Yada yada yada. The line is Chiefs minus 1.5 for a reason. Chiefs minus 2 for a reason. These teams are even, and you give Chiefs the home field advantage. But that's a very close game, and anything can happen. So you got to be prepared for that 50%. The coin flip comes up on your side, and you're going to the Super Bowl too.
No doubt about that. And I want to ask you about what matchup you actually want to see. Of course, Bills is one thing, but Chiefs continuing their legacy would be pretty big for the league itself. But on the other side, Commanders, Eagles. Who do you want to see in the Super Bowl a little bit more?
My dad's from Philly, so personally, I also root for the Eagles when I can. But Washington would be so fun. Watching Jaden Daniels in the Super Bowl as a rookie, they've been so fun to watch. We saw the Eagles in the Super Bowl a few years back. They won their Super Bowl a few years before that too, as well. So they've kind of been there, done that at this point. Washington, I know, has been more of a beleaguered franchise. Last time they won it, obviously they beat the Bills, part of our run of 4 losses in a row. I'm obviously going to say I want to see the Bills on one side. Just familial wise, I want to see the Eagles. That's also what I predicted the Super Bowl would be before the postseason. But I think in an exciting and fan perspective, seeing Jaden Daniels in the Super Bowl would be awesome.
RJ White joins us from Sportsline, and I know that we're talking a lot about the playoffs, but over the last 24 hours or so, Mike Vrabel has kind of added to his staff on New England. He just added Josh McDaniel as his offensive coordinator, and right before we went to the break, Adam Schefter is reporting that Terrell Williams, who's the defensive line coach for the Lions, who used to be a coach with Mike Vrabel in Tennessee, is now going to be his defensive coordinator. I know that we kind of all thought Mike Vrabel was eventually going to become the New England Patriots head coach, but what do you think about the basically kind of getting the band back together in New England?
Yeah, McDaniels is interesting. You wonder how much ownership was involved in that. Obviously, they know him well from his time in New England. Probably see the work that he did developing Tom Brady and want him to do that with their new franchise quarterback. On the Williams side, that's a guy that Mike Vrabel knows very well. He was with him his whole Titans tenure as a defensive line coach. Those run defenses were always pretty solid. The pass defenses, not so much. So we'll see what he brings to the table there if they can coach up what is actually a pretty good secondary with Kyle Duggar, Christian Gonzalez, those type of players there, and they get the most out of that defensive line. And we know Vrabel has some tendencies anyway. So I think that's an interesting fit. I think he was a great fit for New England. We'll see what Josh McDaniels has as offensive coordinator. Always been a good offensive coordinator, always been a not so good head coach. We'll see that if he continues to have success and builds up Drake May, maybe he gets another head coaching shot down the road.
The craziest thing is, Joe and RJ, I think of these two, and I feel like McDaniels is an older dude, or a younger dude, and Vrabel's the older guy, He's only a year younger than Vrabel. And the weirdest thing is he coached Vrabel back in 2007, 2008. Mm-hmm. It's so wild to me. But regardless of that, RJ, always appreciate your time, man. You do a wonderful job talking all things NFL. Please let the people know. Let them know where they can find your work, as well as get maybe the upper hand on all things NFL.
You can find my work on Sportsline, where we're giving out all our picks, and in the Sportsline Discord. You can also find me on the Early Edge NFL Picks Preview Show. This week, it's going to be Wednesday at noon Eastern, so if you're able to tune into CBS Sports Network, you can catch me there as well.
Heck yeah. RJ, appreciate it as always, man. We'll get you on prepping, of course, the Super Bowl next time. It's going to be a wonderful time, and appreciate it as always.
Thanks. Take care.
Hey, thanks, RJ. And RJ's right about McDaniels, and for me personally, being around Coach T the way that I was, and knowing how much Coach Vrabel loves Coach T. Like, there's one thing that Vrabel did that I think that actually more coaches should do. As much as I want to say, hey, look, preseason games don't matter. Like, they just don't. Like, you know, if you're going to give me a preseason game, just go ahead and give me a regular season game.
Yeah.
For the NFL to an extent. One thing that Vrabes did in his last year.
That's so cute.
It is kind of cute, isn't it? It feels like we're BFFs or something. And what he did is he actually let Coach T be the head coach for the final game of the preseason.
Okay.
And it was hey, I believe in him enough that he can be a head coach. I want him to get the reps in this. And it also shows teams like, hey, this man could eventually be a head coach. And I think that's another reason why he's hired him on in New England, because, you know, he was a defensive line coach for the Titans. He's a defensive line coach for the Lions, and he's going to be a very good defensive coach for the Patriots. But RJ's right. I want to see what he's going to do with the secondary. Now, he didn't have much to do with the secondary in that aspect in a way, but I want to see what he can do with that Patriots secondary to continue to have them be good as well as improve the defensive line. And this is where Vrabel has a belief in him. And I'm not saying that he will be, but in the next year or two, you could definitely see him getting interviews for head coaching opportunities. And it is because Mike Vrabel is giving him the opportunities that he can and giving him the opportunities as a head coach.
Yeah.
I think that more teams, if you're going to have the preseason games, you should use it in a way where you're allowing your coordinators to also get reps as head coaches.
Yeah, I
think that's the best use of them.
And on top of that, I mean, if you ever go down with the sickness, then you can also have some other head coaches on your team, or at least coaches with some head or experience at the head coach.
Well, and part
position.
of it did have to do with the fact that you were going through a period of time where COVID was still a bigger issue, and there were even times, even during the 2020 season, where coaches weren't available because of COVID. And so that's why you want to have all the coaches on your staff have a little bit of experience in that role, just in case an emergency situation pops up and you need to be the one that does it.
And I feel like some people forget that these are human beings. The coaches, the players, all of these guys that we think could run through walls. I mean, a lot of the times they probably can, but that doesn't come without the injuries and the sicknesses that come with just every other person. But I think this New England Patriots team going into next year is really getting on the right foot. I think they're going to be super physical. And I think that we might see a more mobile Drake May, if that's even possible. But that's kind of what I get out of, the offense that is going to be implemented with this team. I mean, we'll see how Josh McDaniel does. He tends to do better at that OC position. Of course, he's gotten thrown into the coaching position a few times with not so good teams. But regardless of that, I think this team's going to be pretty physical. And I'd say 3 games better than how they were this past season.
Well, and if you're 3 games better, then that means that you're at least winning, 7 games?
Exactly.
Well, and it's a small step forward. But even with Coach Vrabel is going to be a defensive first head coach. He's going to want to do the run. He's going to want to use play action a lot. You're going to see an offense that is similar to what New England had with Tom Brady, but it isn't going to be exactly the same thing. And I think that maybe Robert Kraft is wanting that, as in hey, look, with Mayo, he wasn't ready. It was more like, hey, this is what Belichick wanted. I gave him a year. They had a bad season, so I'm kicking him out. And with Vrabel, it's a continuation of this. And really, let's be straight. What have we talked about a lot of times, and even Rhett Bryan mentioned with Mike Keith and going back to Tennessee to be the voice of the Vols. You never want to be the guy that replaces the guy.
No, you do not.
And so Vrabel may not have wanted to be the guy that replaces the guy, but he was okay being the guy that replaced Mayo.
I know. I mean, I feel like anybody would be fine replacing him. That job was a hot commodity. But I will say this. It also adds on to, Vrabel's coaching style. You've got some pretty good running backs. I mean, I feel like have always overlooked Ramondre Stevenson as a running back, and he's a guy that could put up those numbers that we've seen even Derrick Henry put up. And I know that's a long shot, but at the same time, very talented running backs. And obviously there's a position, the wide receiver position is a little bit of a problem. That's something they can add on in the draft. But I'd say stout up that defensive line, get those wide receivers on this team, and they might be a little bit of a competitor next season.
Well, it's going to see what they do in free agency and the draft, and seeing kind of what Coach Vrabel's plan is. But phone lines are open to you. 256-576-4977. Coming up in the second hour, we do have the cover 5 for you to hop in on.
Oh, I can't wait.
Oh yeah, no, I've got
a minute.
I've got a few questions. I've got a few questions that I have come up with that you may not know, that there's a few anniversaries happening today, good and bad, that we're going to be hitting on inside of the cover 5. And you know what's also interesting about this weekend that RJ White mentioned, if you don't know, no rookie quarterback has ever started a game in the Super Bowl.
No, I got the setting or the all the stats up for the rookie quarterbacks, by the way, that have at least won 2 games.
And Jaden Daniels is a win away from being the first ever rookie quarterback to start in a Super Bowl game.
Joe, throw those history books out the window. We'll take it to break. When we get back, closing out the first hour and getting into more of the fun to come here on the Morning Blitz.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
For a limited time, G-Bank is offering a $250 bonus when you open a G-Bank Visa signature card. Apply today at vsin.com/Gbank.
Championship Sunday of the National Football League. The Kansas City Chiefs, a 1.5 favorite over the Buffalo Bills at Arrowhead Stadium. Travis Kelce has at least 1 touchdown in 9 of the last 11 playoff games for Kansas City. You can bet Kelce's anytime touchdown prop bet at plus 125. In the NFC, Philadelphia laying 6 against the Washington Commanders. 47.5 the total at Lincoln Financial Field, where the Eagles have won 9 straight games. College basketball yesterday, Alabama blows out Vanderbilt 103-87 at the Coleman Coliseum. The Crimson Tide cover is 12-point home favorite. For more, go to VSIN.com. Mike Sennett, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Orthopedics. You're thinking bones, muscles, and joints, right? Well, what else comes to mind? Maybe your spine, therapy, or an arm cast? What about sports medicine? What do you think about when you hear that? Are you thinking about the largest orthopedic group in the state, caring for the most student athletes in North Alabama? Or about the fact that they are teamed up with the state's largest hospital-based sports medicine program to provide care to more schools in North Alabama than any other group? If you are, you have TOC Sports and Huntsville Hospital Sports Center on the brain. If you're not, you should, because Huntsville Hospital Sports Center and TOC Sports have partnered for more than 2 decades to establish a state-of-the-art team of certified athletic trainers and orthopedic specialists who successfully continue to meet and exceed the sports medicine needs of schools, athletes, coaches, and parents in our community. Committing to kids, committing to community, committing to care. That's Huntsville Hospital Sports Center and TOC Sports.
If hunting and outdoor recreation are your passions, it all starts with the right property. That's where I come in. I am Bo Butler with Southland Realty and Auction, a hunting and recreational land specialist and a Jackson County native who sees land through a hunter's eyes. Just as you trust your guide on a big game hunt, you can trust me to find the perfect property for you. Thinking of selling? Let me help you make your land attract buyers. Remember, Bo knows land. Call me at 256-609-0512.
The state's largest orthopedic group is growing to meet the needs of the patients in our community. The Orthopedic Center has long been the most trusted name in orthopedics in North Alabama. So as our area continues on the fast track, so does the need for premier orthopedic care anywhere and anytime you need it. TOC is proud to announce the opening of our new locations in Albertville and Hampton Cove, along with the grand opening of our newest office in Decatur. These clinics will offer the same high-quality orthopedic care you have come to associate with TOC, with the convenience of being closer to home. As a patient, your time is your most precious asset, and we recognize that at TOC. That's why we are also proud to announce the opening of our urgent ortho clinics to handle those bumps and bruises that need prompt attention. These clinics are available to care for acute orthopedic injuries with no appointment necessary. With 38 physicians, 20 centers of excellence, and now more than a dozen locations to serve you, TOC will continue to be the name you turn to for the best orthopedic care at the right time. Visit our website at visittoc.com for more information. TOC, helping you live a better life.
The company is Eagle Masonry and Insulation, but did you know they're also Eagle Landscaping and Dirt Work? Eagle can take care of all your landscaping needs, including irrigation, sod work, and planting, both plants and trees. On the dirt work side, Eagle can grade and build your pads, haul dirt in or out, and even do erosion control. Philip Love and his team can do it all for you. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. Mostly clear sky expected for this Wednesday night. Temperatures fall below freezing once again. It looks like we'll see lows reach the lower 20s for the overnight. Heading into our Thursday, expect to see partly sunshine. High temperatures warming into the lower 40s for the afternoon. Rain looks to return back to the forecast heading into Sunday. I'm Fox 54 meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
We cover all the SEC schools, including Western Union and Venmo.
I want that money!
You know, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
I feel like it's always the bright side as we get into the morning blitz. Because it's actually bright outside.
How do you know? There's no windows.
I know. Dude, it's a flashbang every time I go outside after having to wake up, come into work, 6:30. Then, and it's dark the whole time until I finally go outside. And it's just like, this is sunlight? I haven't seen this in a minute. Either way, welcome back in. The Blitz, John Abraham, Joe Hunk. You know the deal. We got an interesting stat for you guys as we head into the weekend. Of course, NFL playoffs going to be definitely one of those key things you want to listen to, and we're going to have it on 97.7 ESPN The Zone, as well as our apps on Apple and Android devices. So make sure you guys go and download that, and also check out 97.7 ESPN.com, where you can get all of the information you need focusing on our station. But I will say this, Joe, you bring this up, and I'm glad you did because I wanted to talk about it yesterday. Jaden Daniels, and I know we've been talking about it a lot, but Jaden Daniels has truly been spectacular this season. I don't think anybody can look past that. I don't think anybody can say that this is not going to be the rookie MVP, but you got to look at what history he could make this upcoming week against the Eagles, which it's going to be hard to do. Not a lot of teams have done it. The last guy that tried to do it also did it against the Eagles and lost. And that was one Mr. Brock Purdy, as he was able to go to the NFC Championship game his rookie year. But now we get to see Jaden Daniels going to his third playoff game in his rookie season, only matching a few different guys. Guess who? Mark Sanchez is one of them.
What?
Joe Flacco's one of them. Gifford Nielsen from the Houston Oilers is one of them.
Oh,
I mean, we're getting back there.
Nielsen, yeah.
Bob Lee, I think that guy might be a mayor in like Tennessee or something like that. From Minnesota. These are all different quarterbacks. The only quarterbacks that have gone to 3 playoff games in their rookie season. And none of them have won that third game.
Bob Lee.
No, it's Bill Lee. That's what I'm thinking.
Oh, Bill Lee.
No, Bill Lee's the Tennessee governor, I think.
Okay, no, yeah, Bob Lee was a quarterback for the Vikings, the Falcons, the Vikings a second time, and the Rams.
I don't even think these guys actually even played. The Houston Oilers guy or Bob Lee. I almost said Bill Lee again.
Bob Lee won an NFL championship with the Vikings in the final championship game before the AFL and NFL merger.
So, yeah, that's why we throw out some of the history books, because we don't even have stats for these guys. But for
Bob Lee,
the Joe Flaccos, for the Mark Sanchez's, for the Brock Purdy's, and, of course, the Jaden Daniels, we do indeed have some stats for them. And we're just talking about the QBs that have won 2 playoff matchups in their first season. But for Jaden Daniels, I mean, already throughout these first 2 games, his stat looking a little bit more clean than I would say anybody else's.
And what you were telling me yesterday about some like video and VR training or something.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of time to really get into all of the little details, but I will say this. Back at Arizona State, Jaden Daniels' career looking like it was probably about to be a wash, all right? And I know a lot of people, even whenever he went to LSU
after transferring from Arizona State,
that were just thinking like, oh, it's another quarterback. He's coming in here. He's got a little bit of speed, but who knows what he's actually going to be capable of. Then he has to deal with injury in his first season. He does look really good, and this LSU team does look like it's on the right track. But, of course, that injury is going to push him back a little bit. He gets a concussion. This is when it all kind of falls into place. There is a group that is utilizing LSU's technology, and they're making VR helmet training for football players. And I could get into, again, all of the details. It would take a little bit longer, but this whole thing totally changed, 360'd Jaden Daniels' career.
Well, and I was reading about it after you told me about this last night, and instead of like real time, you know, if you're like myself and you listen to Audible or you watch a movie,
yeah,
on
you gotta
Netflix,
speed it up.
You could sometimes go, you know what, normal speed is not what I want. I kind of want it to be like a little bit faster.
Me in the morning with some of the highlights that I got to watch before coming into work.
And so what he did is he did the same thing where it's like it's not going at real speed.
Yep.
He's been practicing at this at like 1.5 speed.
Yeah, and this thing,
2 speed.
It was originally made for soccer because I think it was this German company.
Well, because the sport's slow, you want to speed it up.
Yeah, you want to. But Jaden Daniels, he's pretty much been practicing at 1.75% of the speed that the NFL goes every single morning.
Which, like, it's not like it's fast as isn't fast.
I
as
know.
it is.
It's already 2 times as fast as the college football scene. So they had no idea, this company had no idea they'd be doing anything for the football scene, real football. But that's exactly what they started doing. And I can say this, pre-VR, all right? Jaden Daniels never topped 3,000 passing yards. He had a career high of 17 touchdowns. He was maybe going to get drafted into the NFL. Probably have to hop on to free agency. Post-VR, he had nearly 4,000 yards. I think we all remember that season that it was just absolutely legendary. 4,000 yards, 40 touchdowns. He was a Heisman Trophy winner. He was the 2nd overall pick. And then, now, of course, the Rookie of the Year. Now, there's another thing that they didn't throw in there. The whole running that he pretty much just demolished in college football. His stats, wacky. This season in the NFL, I don't think anybody would have guessed how wacky this would have been. The turnaround that Washington has had, crazy, unheard of. I love it. Give me Washington whenever it comes to this football game, even though I like Jalen Hurts as well. I'm sorry.
And anybody that's ever played a sport and has gotten that promotion from one level to the next, we even talk about it with the Havoc and going from the SPHL to the ECHL. It's a whole different speed. The game is, and once the game slows down, that's when you start to see yourself kind of grow in that league and start being able to improve. And if you can figure it out VR-wise, and that's helping, bro, like, give it – I want to try. I don't even have a reason to need it. But give it to me.
I got Roblox NFL, so I'll stick with that one.
Second hour coming up next on the Blitz.
You'll love the expanded wine selection at Liquor Express. From special occasion to everyday table wines, they've got what you need. Meet your friends at the largest tap wall in Alabama with 105 rotating selections. Then take home a growler full of your favorite or choose from our 1,000 canned or bottled beers. Need help stocking your bar or planning your party? Liquor Express has a knowledgeable professional in-house staff that can assist you with anything from your bar to the planning of your special event. Visit liquorexpress.net for tasting specials, giveaways, and classes.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
From the University of Alabama, this is Crimson Tide Today. It's daily update on Bama sports, and it's brought to you by Conecuh Sausage, a true Southern flavor since 1947, and Conecuh is the official smoked sausage of the Crimson Tide. Order online at ConecuhSausage.com. Hello again, everybody. I'm Roger Hoover. On Thursday's edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, we'll be joined by Alabama linebacker Deontay Lawson. What did it mean to you, the fan reaction, after your announcement that you're coming back to Alabama?
Yeah, that was crazy. You know, I always loved the fan base here at Alabama, and then, you know, after that, I was like, wow, like I didn't think, you know, that many people would be excited, but you know, that just shows you the love this fan base has for the players, and you know, it's truly an honor to be here, and you know, I appreciate the fans. like no other. And, they show up every week and, perform to their best. And, we need them too. And, it just gives me a great feeling just to know, I'm appreciated here, and, I appreciate being here.
I'll have more in moments.
Favorite jeans, favorite shirt. Got Connecticut sausage and I'm firing it up. Yeah, everybody knows it's how I get my grill on. You can smell that flavor up and down the road. It's a little taste of heaven, and everybody knows it's how I get my grill on. Connecticut sausage. It's just a little taste of heaven.
Join us tomorrow for Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, streaming live at 2 p.m. Central on all CTSN social media platforms at UA_CTSN. Crimson Tide Today is brought to you by Connecticut Sausage. Crimson Tide Today is a production of the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
For a limited time, GBank is offering a $250 bonus when you open a GBank Visa signature card. Apply today at vsin.com/GBank.
Championship Sunday of the National Football League. The Kansas City Chiefs, a 1.5 favorite over the Buffalo Bills at Arrowhead Stadium. Travis Kelce has at least one touchdown in 9 of the last 11 playoff games for Kansas City. You can bet Kelce's anytime touchdown prop bet at plus 125. In the NFC, Philadelphia laying 6 against the Washington Commanders. 47.5 the total at Lincoln Financial Field, where the Eagles have won 9 straight games. College basketball yesterday, Alabama blows out Vanderbilt 103-87 to the Coleman Coliseum. The Crimson Tide cover is 12-point home favorite. For more, go to VSIN.com. Mike Sennett, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. Expect mostly sunshine for this Wednesday. High temperatures finally going to get above that freezing threshold. It looks like high temperatures will reach the upper 30s for the afternoon. Heading into our Wednesday night, we fall below freezing once again into the lower 20s. We'll continue to sit under a mostly clear sky. I'm Fox 54 meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com. Joe Hunk, John Abraham, 256-576-4977. Welcome to the Blitz.
Second hour, final hour, best hour on 97.7 ESPN The Zone and the Blitz. I am Joe Hunk. He is John Abraham.
That's me.
Yes, you can hop in and watch us on WZZN TV. Doesn't matter if it is X or if it is on YouTube. We've got it on Facebook as well, so that you can hop in, get those comments in that way as we are continuing throughout this Wednesday. Congratulations to Columbia High School.
They got a new head coach.
Not just a new head coach, like a notable name in the state of Alabama, and the fact that former Auburn wide receiver Sammy Coates is the head coach. And I mean, I'm now interested to see what's happening, because outside of a losing streak, like, nobody ever talks about Columbia.
No. I mean, you bring up Columbia football team, and you're going to get that losing record just thrown in there right away. But Sammy Coates, hey, I remember him. I don't remember much of what he did with Auburn, but I remember him.
Oh, I do.
I know you do.
Oh, no, I trust
me. A resident Auburn fan. I just want everybody to know that, all right? Even Jeff, if he calls in.
Yeah.
He is an Auburn fan in some ways.
You all upset about Alabama, aren't you? I'm devastated. It was one of the worst things that's ever happened to me in my life. No. So congratulations to Sammy Coates. He is here in Huntsville now as the brand new head coach for Columbia. You also had the Preds last night with a massive comeback It is the
Huge.
largest in franchise history. They were down 5-1.
That's wild.
And it wasn't like it was a last second, third period. They just all started. I mean, they scored 2 goals in the second period right before the end of it. They went into the third period only down 5-3. Like 30 seconds into the third period, they made it 5-4. Then with about like 10 minutes to go, the game was still tied at 5 apiece. And I told John beforehand, I was like, I got home last night after the Havoc Hour, which you can go back and watch on WZZN TV. And we got there, and I turned on the Bama game and watched the ending, which was kind of funny, especially, Vanderbilt still playing, and Alabama was like, all right, cool.
It did get close, though, for a little bit. It was in the single digits, but Alabama then just said, okay, we'll stop time. And then, we'll add on 10 points, so now it's back to being like a 15-point deficit.
Well, and so that wraps up, and then I turn it over to the Preds game, and right when I turned it over, San Jose scored, and they're like, and there's another one for San Jose. They're leading 5-1.
Look, I was surprised this game went on for so long, and then whenever I saw that it was like 4-1 for the longest time, I was like, okay, Preds sucking, doing what the Preds have been doing this season, but of course they have been on a little bit of a record lately, a winning streak.
They were 3 in a row coming into last night.
Yep.
They just won their 4th of this series. They're actually now about to fly out to San Jose because they had a home and home with San Jose, so they're about to be playing San Jose again tomorrow night before playing Anaheim on Saturday.
Yeah, but I stopped caring about this game whenever I saw, first off, that it was just 4-1. I was like, this is a blowout. It's really tough to come back from this deficit. Plus, also, when it comes to hockey, I will sit through Bruins, whether they win or lose. But other teams, maybe not. Well, and Preds, maybe the Preds are second.
Well, and it was funny with the Preds too, because when they finally scored to make it 5-2, it was like, the Preds scored. Okay, cool.
They're still alive.
They're like, all right, well, they scored. Like, it's 5-2 now, but they scored. Like, okay, and the crowd's not like as into it as they normally would be. And you got Tim McGraw playing over the speakers and everything. And it's like,
I like it. I love it. I better not sing any more of that song because we might get copyright claimed. But hey, you know what? When that third period struck, let's just say,
so I'm watching this thing going, there's no way. Yeah, there is a way. It's 5-4 now. Wait a second, this can't really happen, right?
It was
7-5 was the final. Jeez. 7 different Preds scored in the game. It wasn't like it was, Roman Yossi had a hat trick or anything along those lines. 7 different Preds scored in the game to win. So that happens. But then before we even started the Havoc Hour, I want to flip a table, because I get kind of emotional about certain things, one of which is the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame voting.
Forgot that was yesterday, Joe. I'm going to be honest with you.
I know you did, okay? But there's certain things in life that I just sit and I just go, why are you so dumb? Like, and I talk about this with college football. Like yesterday, I think it was yesterday I made the statement. At least when college football continues to try to shoot themselves in the foot, the ratings are at least going up. Like when they do dumb things, we're still getting a better outcome sometimes than what we were getting 10 and 15 and 20 years ago. Yet when Major League Baseball, they do dumb things just to do dumb things. Like there's no reason behind it. And so last night I'm sitting and Tom and I talked a lot about it, and I know we're going to talk about it more today starting at noon with him. But Major League Baseball had their Hall of Fame ceremony and their Hall of Fame voting for the Baseball Writers of America, and 3 players got in. Billy Wagner, former Braves closer, CC Sabathia, former Yankees and Cleveland Indians pitcher, and then Ichiro Suzuki.
As he should.
As he should have. You had to have 75% of the vote to get inducted. Carlos Beltran had 70.3. Andrew Jones had 66.2. Those were the only 2 that were relatively close to the 75% barrier. Andrew Jones it shouldn't take 8 or 9 times for Andrew Jones. He should have already been in. Not only did Ichiro not get, he was on every single ballot except for one. There is one human being alive.
I ain't bringing him to my party.
No, he actually, no, look, if right now, and again, let's be honest, Pete Rose is dead, we can go ahead and put him in the hall, okay? Whoever this writer was, go ahead and ban him from baseball for life. I don't care if it was Jesus Christ himself that did not make this vote, okay? You should not be dumb enough to not go. Because, look, this is the Hall of Fame. You are voting on people to be into the Hall of Fame. This isn't, like, if Ichiro is a Hall of Famer, you vote him a Hall of Famer. Like, and I know I shouldn't be upset about one vote, but I am angry about one vote because people don't realize, like, this man could in an era of Major League Baseball where everybody was fascinated, and they still are, with the long ball. Ichiro chose to not be that way. He chose to not be the home run hitter.
Yeah.
The guy weighed like $120, and he could have hit 60 home runs if he would have wanted to. He just chose not to.
Yeah, who let Teddy Roosevelt's ancestors on the ballot list? That's what I want to know.
No, I mean, it was, and it is one of those, I'm looking at it like this, and I'm thinking, how do you make this decision to not make this man a unanimous vote getter? Like, as we say this all the time about how Ichiro or like King Griffey Jr., I think a lot of us, as far as modern baseball fans, said, if you could change the look of the Major League Baseball logo from what it is, King Griffey Jr. may be the person you put on the logo. Like, he's that guy, okay? Every single player in the world that everybody loves, like, there is literally, I would go to bat. I mean, obviously it's baseball. I would go to bat for King Griffey Jr. being arguably the greatest baseball player of all time any day of the week. Like, I don't care who it is. I know he doesn't have the home run record or anything. I would go to bat and say I will argue with anybody that he is the greatest baseball player of all time. Ichiro could arguably have that exact same thing said about him in two different leagues. Not only America, but also in Japan.
I knew you'd wrap around to this
absolutely.
one. That's why you're going double time on this whole conversation.
And I think maybe because I have learned more about what he did in Japan.
0.3% off of being a unanimous
one vote.
Hall of Famer.
One simple vote. And here's what's crazy is I want you to think of Shaq, Peyton Manning. Let's think of name some other notable athletes in America that you see on like every single commercial.
Derek Jeter now.
Tom Brady. Those guys are on all these commercials.
Tiger Woods.
That is Ichiro in Japan. Like, he now is making millions of dollars in Japan because even though he played in America for as long as he did, for 19 seasons, he is still considered the greatest baseball player in Japanese baseball history. He should have been a 100% vote getter in both Hall of Fames. And the fact that, again, this man, no matter what league he's playing in, how many home runs do you think he had in one season? The most he had in one season as a Major League Baseball player.
Oh, I feel like this might be a trick question. I would say...
I'll let you know this number.
Okay.
Career-wise, in Major League Baseball, he only hit 117 home runs.
Okay, so I'll say the most he ever hit in a season was 11.
He had 11 in 2009. That's his third highest.
Oh.
He had 13 home runs in 2003, but his highest home run total was 15, and that was in 2005. Spin that around, in 2004, he batted .372.
See, that's the thing. That's a really big spin around. You're not going to be a power hitter, especially if you weigh the amount he does as well as the size. But and he doesn't have those huge thighs that we see some of these baseball players have. He was literally just speed player through and through.
Well, and again, the biggest part about this is it was a choice. Like, that's what people don't understand. And I promise you, you talk to any of his teammates for Seattle, for New York, for Miami, for, all these teams that he played for Major League Baseball, and you ask people about Ichiro during batting practice, again, I joke that the man weighed like $120. He seriously weighed 175 pounds. He weighed 170. How much do you weigh?
Are we gonna?
No.
Come on, you don't ask a producer how much he weighs. How insensitive are you?
Dude, you're not a girl that I'm trying to hit on in the bar, okay? Like, it's not. So how much you weigh? Huh?
I'm 170.
Okay, you're 170. So he's John's size on WZZN TV.
But isn't he like 5'8"? Wasn't he 5'8" or something?
He was 5'11".
Oh, he was 5'11"?
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm 5'12", so,
That's
I
not
kind
a
of got him
number.
I'm 5'12", Joe.
That's not a number.
I went to the doctors. This is what they told me.
They said, "Oh, John Abraham, you are 5'12".
You say, "Oh,
was it in a back alley?"
They say you're a little bit over 5'11", but you're not 6 foot.
That's 5'11 and a half.
No,
it's not 5'12.
They said that I'm a special case, so they said we'll make a number for you, 5'12".
Anyways, he chose to be this way, and he became one of the greatest contact hitters of all time. He was one of the greatest outfielders of all time. And I think that a lot of this for me that I take a little bit kind of personally with this, not just because of the Japan and all that stuff that I've kind of recently been learning about, but this man came into Major League Baseball back in 2001. Now, he wore number 51, which at the time was Randy Johnson's number that the Mariners wanted to retire. He asked Randy Johnson if it was okay to even wear the number. And Randy's like, yes, I know your history. I know how great of a baseball player you are. I'm giving you the okay to do it, even though the Mariners are going to retire that number for me. And from 2001 to 2019, anytime I ever looked at baseball players or anytime I was being graded in playing baseball, because this was like my junior year of high school when he was a rookie, it stopped being about, oh, you want to be fast like this amount of seconds. It was, hey, you want to be able to get from home to first in 1.5 seconds, something like that. I'm making a number up because that's what Ichiro does. Ichiro was the standard when it came to running the bases in baseball. Not only that, again, going back to choice, the man could throw over 100 miles per hour. If you want to see the arm, and I'm talking to any baseball fan, whether you're 15 years old, 12 years old, whatever it is, go back on YouTube and watch Ichiro throwing from the outfield. And I'm talking about hosing guys. It wasn't just that he was throwing the ball and it was getting to third base and throwing the guy out. It was the fact that he was throwing this thing on a line 7-8 feet from the ground and it never dipped.
That's crazy.
Like all right, what we used to call it is it was just a piss missile.
That's what it is. Okay? I was waiting for you to say it.
I'm sitting here and I kind of worry. Like, can I say that on the air?
Yes, you can, Joe. I've said it in the past.
He was throwing a piss missile from right field.
Yeah.
Okay, this thing didn't budge, go up, down, nothing. It was straight 100 miles per hour from right field to the third baseman, and it was beautiful. Like, that was the standard. That's why I look at a lot of sports and a lot of athletes, and I say, do they change the game enough that even if their numbers aren't there, you know that the reason their numbers aren't there is because of X.
Mm-hmm.
So, for instance, if we're talking about wide receivers in the NFL, the reason why, let's just say Calvin Ridley, for instance, okay? You know what? He lives here. So if Calvin Ridley doesn't get 1,000 yards receiving, but you continue to hear players go, oh, man, that man is amazing. Like, honestly, he's the best wide receiver in the AFC. Like, if we start hearing that, you're going, but he only had like 700 yards receiving. He only had this. You know the reason? It's because he's getting double and triple teamed. That's the reason.
Yeah.
Like, he's totally changing. Everybody's having to focus on him. I said this about Derrick Henry yesterday. You know, this conversation about if he or should he be a Hall of Famer, should he not be? The simple fact that if you go and look at the numbers of Derrick Henry and how many times he has had to face 8+ men in a box compared to the rest of the NFL, it's almost double. In his period of time as being a running back, the number of times he's had to face 8 different defenders in a box compared to the rest of the NFL is such a gap between number 1 and number 2. That alone should be on his Hall of Fame plaque because of how great he was, that teams had to put 8 men in a box and literally just go one-on-one outside, hoping to God their guys can hold up because they had to focus so much on him.
Yeah.
Like, those numbers should be the case. Ichiro literally revolutionized how you looked at players as far as grading them and how they get to the major league level. He became the standard for that. You graded him on his outfield ability because, let's not forget, he was also a 10-time Gold Glove winner. His arm, that I promise you, if you put him on the mound, that man could have been a closer in baseball and had 70 saves. Like, he was that talented at everything he did. And if you wanted to put him in the home run derby, he could have won the home run derby. Like, he is 1,000% a unicorn. And so it blows my mind that anybody didn't make it 100% on him.
Yeah.
Nothing against Mariano Rivera, and I know that we're so hung up on the 100% mark because you do have quote-unquote surefire Hall of Famers like Derek Jeter and Ichiro and Mariano Rivera that we're so fascinated with the 100% number, where a lot of players do not get this in Major League Baseball. But him not getting 100% to me is absolutely asinine. Because if there's ever a player that deserved 100% outside of Mariano Rivera, Ichiro was it. I mean, Ichiro literally is the standard for baseball around the world, not just this. When we come back, though, phone lines back open to you. 256-576-4977. You can also get in on the Cover 5 as well as the chat on WZZN TV. John Abraham, I'm Joe Hunk, and this is The Blitz on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
The Drive.
You know, both those guys have done a good job in what we've asked them to do, and both of them have developed nicely, and both of them have consistently made plays.
Wes and Steve.
Their decision-making, their judgment, their ability not to force things and take what the defense gives and distribute the ball with good decision-making, down in, down out, is, you know, probably the only thing that's going to be any different about them, because it's not physical ability or talent. So it's intangibles, leadership, decision-making, judgment, and all those types of things. And, you know, both guys have done a good job in that regard as well.
Listen to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton each weekday afternoon starting at 5. We are your home of ESPN Radio, 97.7 The Zone.
By now, you know about Eagle Masonry and Insulation, and maybe you know that Eagle also does landscaping and dirt work. But how about after paint work? Shower doors, shelving, and mirrors, all taken care of by Eagle, the same Eagle that takes care of all your masonry, insulation, and landscaping needs. Eagle brings the same level of expertise to all these disciplines, and they're ready to provide you with a free quote. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
Are you tired of power outages disrupting your life? It's time for a Generac standby generator from Current Electrical. Storms may rage outside, but inside your family's powered up. So why choose Current Electrical for your generator needs? 1, we offer a wide range of models to suit every budgeted energy requirement. 2, our project managers handle every step of the process: power, gas, permitting, and inspections. 3, our certified technicians install your generator with precision, ensuring peace of mind. Don't wait for the next blackout. Call 256-880-1880 or visit us online at GeneraCSuperstore.com.
Hi, this is Wes Neighbors. I'm here with Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Sam, tell the folks about Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Hey, Wes. Our company, Fleming Roofing and Restoration, specializes in commercial and residential roofing and repairs. I'm a fifth-generation Huntsvillian, and our family's been doing construction business in Huntsville area since 1965.
Sam, what kind of roofs does Fleming Roofing and Restoration do?
Our guys are skilled enough. We can come out and address any kind of leaks or issues you might have on your commercial, on your metal roofing, on your shingles. We can do anything, and we can offer you a solution to repair it, or we can replace it.
Well, you guys also do insurance restoration.
Our staff has 10-plus years of experience as insurance adjusters, and we really do know the inside and out of the claims process at Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Check out Fleming Roofing and Restoration online at FlemingHSV.com, or you can call or text them at 256-651-9440.
Hey, Wes, we show up.
Howdy, folks. Bob Baumhauer here. Whether you're planning a tailgate party at the game, cheering for your favorite teams at home, or at your local Baumhauers with your family and friends, we're here to make your football party legendary with our party-ready tray selections. From our always fresh buttermilk fried chicken tenders to the homemade Nana's chicken salad, and of course, our fresh, never frozen, award-winning Buffalo-style chicken wings. Baumhauer's Victory Grill. Legendary fun, legendary food.
Continuing on 97.7 ESPN The Zone and The Blitz, John Abraham, Joe Hunk. Hope you're having a fantastic Wednesday. Yes, it is Wednesday. I know how many parents and or kids, okay, not so much parents, but kids had Monday off. And so it kind of feels like a Tuesday. It kind of feels a little weird because everything's been going on.
Yeah.
But we appreciate you hopping in and watching on WZZN TV and listening on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone, and the Zone app.
Yeah, and for anybody in Florida who's probably also off, mainly like the Pensacola area or maybe just, anywhere north, I mean, that you guys just enjoy it, because I don't know if this will ever happen again down in Florida the way it is right now, because I believe there was up to 10 inches of snow. I didn't even know this was possible, but like, how do you make Floridians that much more wild? You put some snow on their land and just let them run amok.
Look, no, you have cities all across the coastline that are dealing with snow. Like we talked about, matter of fact, LSU Lynch called in and he talked about it yesterday about how it was snowing on the beach.
It's so
in Gulf
wild
Shores.
to me.
It's crazy. Go look at LSU in Tiger Stadium, covered in snow.
Right? Wait, did you say? You said Gulf Shores, okay.
Gulf Shores.
So right on the Gulf of America.
Gulf of
Close?
America, Mexico.
Okay, no.
Look, man, I don't know what to call it. Okay.
Well, give it a week. We'll figure it out. It'll be on the maps. Soon.
That man literally did more work in 24 hours than I think I've done my entire life.
That's what I'm saying. This is a president who is at least moving forward with some
Look,
things.
I'm not saying forward or backwards. I'm not saying any of that. I'm not saying that we're moving in the right direction or wrong direction. I'm just saying. Dude literally did a ton of work the other day, even after the inauguration. I don't even know how he did. It was like a baseball player that goes and sits down before the game is like, hey, boss, we got about 30 baseball cards we want you to sign.
No, it's still the Gulf of Mexico, by the way.
Yeah.
Gulf of America just has that ring to it, though. So I see where he's coming from. We got some questions, though. We got some questions. We got some phone lines. We got some chat. By the way, Yorkie threw in this earlier. Whenever we were talking about the beer league, jumping into one ourselves, he said he'd be joining. I mean, I'm just saying, we already got 3 guys. We could get a few more. We'd have a whole first line, all right? That's what I'm saying. John would play with us.
Dude, I can barely skate.
Joe, just come over, and I will put some skates on you and push you down a hill, and you will learn fast.
Oh, I will either learn to skate or I'll learn to roll better.
Mm-hmm.
Which one? Exactly.
They're the same.
Congratulations also to UAH men's basketball. You're going to be able to hear them tomorrow night on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone, and as well as the Zone app with Charger Zone, because they will be in Valdosta, Georgia, taking on Valdosta State. Just a few moments ago, the brand new D2 national rankings came out, and UAH has moved up to number 4 in the country.
That's great to see. Now they're matched with the Alabama Crimson Tide. This is just like working hand in hand.
Can we see them play each other? And I'm not saying this in a joking way. Like, I would really
take it easy. I mean, look, it'd be fun, but we're talking about the Ohio State of basketball right now in Alabama, where it's just there's players on players on players, and they may not be paying all of the players like Ohio State is, but at the same time, there's talent every single place you look for the Crimson Tide. I mean, we talked about it early on in the show. Yeah. They got a guy named Mark Sears. That's pretty awesome. They also got themselves a pretty solidified coach. But on the bench, I mean, I made the post yesterday. I would know. Aiden Holloway, beast.
Oh, 4 of 6 from the three-point line?
Absolute beast.
He was 4 of 6. He was one of the 3 players that scored 22. And again, I'm still impressed with the fact that Mark Sears had his lowest 3-point shooting total of the night of the season. He only shot 2. He was 1 of 2 from 3.
Yeah.
And he still scored 20-something points.
He just loves that number. It's around 20 to 23 that he just loves to hit. On top of that, Jaron Stevenson and Grant Nelson. I mean, you talk about a team that is focused solely on the 3-point shot, but then you show Stevenson, Grant Nelson, Diabate, Youngblood. I mean, these are all some big bodies that, if utilized correctly, which I think we see Nate Oates kind of getting towards that, they can be huge presence within the paint.
So an update by the end of the night tonight, by 7 p.m. tonight, we have some totals of how much snow is supposed to fall in areas around the Gulf Coast. New Orleans right now is projected to get over 8 inches of snow.
Jeez.
By 7 o'clock tonight, accumulation from the last 24 hours. Mobile is supposed to have 5.1 inches. Right across the beach, around the beach, if you've ever been to like St. George Beach and those types of areas down around the Florida and Alabama coastline near Floribama and those types of places, Panama City, they're going to have 6 inches of snow.
That's so weird to me.
Savannah, Georgia is going to have 4.6 inches of snow. Opp has 5.3 inches of snow by the end of the night. Opp. Are you down with OPP? Nobody is. Nobody goes to Opp.
My oppositions.
No. Trust me. Nobody goes to Opp ever. At all.
I've never heard of it.
No.
Is that it though? The OPP.
Yeah, it's OPP.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then no, I know about it. You said Opp, and it's a different storyline. Here we go.
Yeah, totally different storyline. But all right, time for the cover 5.
Do we have a song for this? Did we ever get a song ready for this thing?
The cover 5? No, definitely not. No, we don't have a song.
You don't have to come up with one either.
Oh, I was literally going to freeball it. And so it was, we have the cover 5. We have 5 questions that we come up with throughout the show and throughout this segment that you can hop in on, 256-576-977. And the first one, John, you know this. Did Scott mention what today was at all? I know we talked a lot of women's basketball today, but did Scott at any point in time bring this up?
It's got to have to do something with food.
No, and the reason I ask is because first off, last night, Spring Garden, Hazel Green, amazing atmosphere.
Oh, yeah, they brought that up a few times.
We had a ton of people that were there, and we appreciate everybody that hopped in so that Steve and Scott could go down and broadcast that game. Fantastic game. Spring Garden ends up, it was so much fun to see how that one's going. But speaking of women's basketball, today is also the 23rd birthday for one Caitlin Clark. Iowa grad. I figured that this kind of played into the women's basketball.
He didn't bring up that at all.
No, and so that's the reason why I asked, because last night during the Havoc Hour, we talked to 2 players from the team, Phil Ilgstamp. Dang it, I'm going to get it.
It's going to flow one of these days. It'll just happen.
And Mason Palmer. And at Mason's high school, his high school is one of the most famous alumni members of the high school. There's 3. Sidney Crosby. Again.
It's pretty
big one all on its own. But I asked him if he knew 2 players or 2 people that were non-hockey players that would be considered the most famous alumni members from his old high school. One of which, Marlon Brando, famous actor. I know you probably don't know a lot of his movies, but just Godfather. That's all I'm saying. And the other one is one that you hear on 97.7 all the time, Brent Musburger.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm Brent Musburger.
Yeah. With your VEASAN update. All right. So I say that because I want to know now, with it being Caitlin Clark's birthday and everything, and the fact that we kind of brought this up last night, who is the most famous person that is connected to your school? You?
No.
Okay, you raised your hand. I
might be a close 3rd, maybe a 4. No, there's a few. Do we want to stick with the sports?
No, it doesn't have to be. I said famous person, not famous athlete.
Okay, well,
it could be a dog that went in and was finally ended up being the dog that Ernest P. Worrell used to carry around with him in all the movies. I don't care. Just the most famous person that is connected to your school.
That's a tough one because we actually have a recent one that's it's a pretty big deal. But this one, I'm going to say this one just for the craps and the giggles, all right? And I know Drew would love this answer. Franklin County High School. Does that ring a bell for you, Joe Hunk?
Yeah, it's in Franklin County.
Yep.
A lot of times whenever there's a threat of snow, Franklin County is always the first one to just go ahead and say school's canceled.
So
that's pretty much it.
There's Hunter Girl, who is a country music singer.
What's her name?
Hunter Girl. Hunter Wilanowski or whatever her last name is. So she's a country music singer. She won, I think, American Dad. No, she got second in American Dad.
American Dad.
Not an American Dad, American Idol. So that was a pretty cool thing.
It's great to be.
I don't know. Did she win? I don't think she won. I thought she got second. But either way, she's a star now, all right? Every single time we have our little Christmas party.
She was runner-up in American Idol in 2022.
So I actually went to high school with her, which was pretty cool. Every time we have our little Christmas party on the square, we're lighting up the tree. The whole city's there. She now comes out and has a wonderful time. She's got a few songs that are pretty good. But this is probably the most famous person that has come out of my school. Can I get a drum roll? Do you have a drum over there?
I'm going straight Christmas Vacation.
Philip Fulmer. Yeah, Drew's probably like, if he's listening. If he's not doing a
that was a major kick in the junk right there.
I'm sorry. This is also the guy that came and talked to me in my last football game, and he was trying to hype us up. I was like, bro, roll Tide.
Dude. Oh, come on. So Franklin County High School. I'm looking this up now because I want to know if that really is the most famous person from your high school.
I would say so. I would definitely say so. I mean, there has been some football players that have gone into the NFL, but outside of that, I think Philip Fulmer is probably the one that beats them all.
All right, so according to Wikipedia, because that is the source.
Okay, very reliable.
Yeah, Philip Fulmer as well as Bobby Majors are probably your two most famous.
Okay, well, I gave you one of them. What about you, Joe?
For me is I'm going to say two, even though really only one of them is probably the biggest one. In fact, oddly enough, he was on with the Drive, I believe, last week, and that is Howard Cross. And former New York Giants tight end, played in 2 Super Bowls, won 1 Super Bowl. He was in the Super Bowl in 2000 with the Giants when they lost to the Ravens. But he also played with the Bill Belichick teams back in the 80s, former Alabama tight end as well. He's probably the most famous, and then I would probably say outside of him, you would probably even say Rudy Ford, who's in the NFL right now. Played at Auburn. Those would probably be the two.
That's
that
not
I would
bad.
say if
Not
it
bad.
was there. I mean, it's no Philip Fulmer.
Yeah, it's nobody that's just going to jump out the video screen over on
No.
WZZN TV. But it is, that's still pretty cool.
No.
I mean, I feel like every school is probably going to have 1 or 2 NFL athletes, but maybe not currently.
Yeah.
Currently
Heck,
is a
now
pretty
I
good
need
deal.
to look up who's the famous ones for mine right now. Like, I'm actually kind of curious about that myself.
Yeah, we I know we had from Coffee County, not my school, but I got to play up against
We had a
them.
Secretary of State. Nobody cares.
Yeah, nobody cares about
So-
that. From Coffee County, we did have, I believe it was Alante Taylor.
Yeah.
He plays for the Saints right now. And then a little bit more up the road, but he is from Franklin County, Jawan Jennings, who's playing for the 49ers right now.
Now, the next question is kind of playing off of something we also kind of asked last night. And because what we found out about both the players that we were with is that both of them played in the exact same hockey tournament in the exact same city in Lake Placid, New York. And so obviously when you hear Lake Placid, you start thinking of the 1980s, the Miracle on Ice. And so our question was, okay, did any of the games that you guys played in, did they take place in the Herbs Brooks Arena, which is where the Miracle on Ice took place? And I think Philly, calling you Philly now, I think Philly said that that he went into the arena, but he couldn't remember if he actually got to play in any of the games. Like maybe one of the games that he got to play in was there, but he remembered going in and he was just kind of in awe of the fact that he's in this place that even over 40 years later, we still consider to be one of, if not the greatest moment in sports history in the Miracle on Ice. So what I ask you is he was talking about Herb Brooks Arena in Lake Placid, but for you, is there a historic venue that you've ever dreamed of visiting just because of its fascinating significance? Now,
most of them are gone.
Doesn't have to do with sports.
Okay.
This is the thing. This isn't just a sports answer. Again, if you wanted to say that I want to visit the middle of the Atlantic where the Titanic sank, then okay. It's probably not smart, but at least at that point in time, okay, that's a spot that you would want to visit.
Look,
I prefer to visit it on top of the water.
I always wanted to pay a visit to the World Trade Center. I will admit that.
I will agree with you on that one.
I thought it was an interesting concept for 2 buildings to look identical to each other, and on top of that, my mom used to tell me stories about how she went and ate there, a few months before it all went down, literally. And I just wanted to know, like, I thought it was all business buildings, like just a bunch of offices, but I guess they actually had some restaurants and some shops in there. So I'm just like, how did it look? How was it truly? And I obviously will never get to experience that, but I'll say that or the Roman Coliseum in its prime. That's all I'm gonna say.
I'm not saying Back to the Future, this sucker. Okay, I'm not saying get in your DeLorean and drive back in time.
Well, that's what makes it special.
Visit it.
Well, yeah, but it's all beat up. I want to see it in its prime.
It's over 500 years old. I'm sorry, it's all beat up because it's decades and centuries old.
It's the original stadium, all right? It's the original Coliseum.
How old is the Roman Coliseum?
Ancient, Joe. I think there were only 3 numbers within the time period.
Dude, it was founded a little after Jesus Christ was born.
Hey, can't say that Jesus Christ didn't help out the economy.
I disrespected it. I said 500 years. This thing was founded around AD 70 or 80, not 1970 or 80, not 1670 or 80.
Wow. So
like 70 or 80.
That's
okay?
crazy. That's crazy.
No, you want to talk about crazy? If this thing was like 80 years older, this is where Jesus would have hung and got hung.
Oh, jeez.
That's how messed up it is.
No, that sounded wrong.
It really did sound wrong, didn't it?
I
mean, he did get hung up. He did get hung up.
He got
crucified.
Geez.
Yeah. It's where this is what this thing was built for.
Look, all right, Joe. If we could have one spot, I think this would be a great question. If we could have one spot to have a football game or a basketball game in a special area, I think trying to reopen up the Coliseum would be amazing. However, have you ever seen a picture of the Coliseum on the inside?
Yes. It's got a bunch of like caves and little walking paths and all this stuff underneath it.
So here's a little fun fact. They actually used to fill up the Coliseum with water to have naval battles as well. Can you believe that? Can you even fathom that?
Dude, how big is your dynasty when you're literally having to make wars against yourself? Is this what Alabama football was like in the early 2000s?
This is what sports is.
Like 2011 and 12, they're like, look, man, you know what? Our scrimmages are difficult. And we've heard those stories before about how scrimmages in Alabama's practices were actually a lot more difficult than some of the games.
Yeah.
Like, that is when you say you're in a dynasty, when the guys that you're playing in the scrimmage is actually more difficult than the guys you play in the game. That's the Roman Coliseum. It's like, look, man, we know we're going to dominate any war we go into at this point in time. So we might as well need to start coming up with things that we can go ahead and fight ourselves.
Yeah.
And so the Roman Coliseum, they used to flood it so that they could have naval battles. I never knew that.
Yeah.
Ever.
Look up flooded or just naval battles in Coliseums, and you'll get all the pictures you could ever want. Oh, he's doing it now.
I am. I seriously typed it. That is actually amazing. I'm looking these pictures up. I mean, obviously they're just drawings, but I mean, seriously, thinking about the fact that you could fill in the Roman Coliseum with water and then be able to, like, I thought you were going to say they had like swim meets. I thought you were going to say like they were going to have this is where water polo was developed.
They put monsters in the water and then let the Romans swim around to try to escape.
I'm sorry, I didn't know that Circe and her dragons were the ones that were battling in the Roman Coliseum, okay?
Dude, Zeus was really helping out with these things, all right? You know he had to let it rain for a little bit to fill up that Coliseum.
Oh,
I don't know how they would do it any other way. I don't know. Just don't know.
Okay, no, that's actually a good answer, because like a lot of mine, like I've visited a lot of the ones that I've always wanted to, because I made a point like in my 20s to want to go visit these places.
It's good to have a bucket list.
Yeah, so like, Wrigley Field, Fenway Park, Old Yankee Stadium, like all of those places. I said, look, I want to see these. In fact, with some of them, I made sure to see them like in their last year. Like I went to Yankee Stadium in 2008. I was actually there the week before the All-Star game was there in 2008 when was it Jake Hamilton? Yeah, just went off for the Rangers and started hitting bombs like in the first round. Josh Hamilton. And I went to Texas Stadium with the Cowboys in the last year and on the very last Thanksgiving Day game.
Pretty cool.
I was like, hey, I want to do some of those things. So, some of these things that we're talking about, like even if I said I wanted to go to England, like I've always wanted to visit England, but even a lot of those soccer stadiums aren't your, hey, we were built in AD 70, like the Roman Coliseum, and, like those types of places. So even I have trouble trying to think of a bucket list place that I've always wanted to go, because I've seen the Declaration of Independence, I've seen the Constitution. Those were all part of my
little treasure hunter right here.
Well, that was, I mean, what can I say? Me and Nicolas Cage, I'm the unsung fifth man on
Look,
that.
I had a joke that I was going to throw out earlier about Nicolas Cage, so let's just say there were 2 Nicolas Cage jokes thrown into this show.
Okay.
I'll just say that.
Okay. Well, see, no, look, a lot of people have this, your 8th grade trip, you always go to Washington, D.C., and you kind of visit. You didn't do this?
No, I went to Biztown up in Nashville.
What?
It's a story for another day, Joe. I think it was a little bit past your prime. If there was a stadium, though, that I wish I got to visit, because you said you got to visit a lot before they got destroyed, Cleveland Stadium would have been the one to go to. I don't even care about the new Cleveland Stadium, let alone what they're about to make. I just, I wanted to see the prime Cleveland Stadium, because that's when the Browns were at their best.
It's the only time the Browns have been at their best.
I mean, and maybe if they still had that stadium, maybe Deion Sanders would let his son go and play for the Cleveland Browns. I'm just throwing that out there.
Seriously is saying so if you have not heard this, there are numerous reports that are saying that Prime has already told scouts and executives that if the Cleveland Browns draft his son, that he is going to block his son from actually playing for Cleveland.
You should not be allowed to do this.
No, this benefited so many players. Like this, look, just not forget that I know it was so long ago, and a lot of people do forget that Archie Manning literally said, "Hey, if San Diego drafts Eli, yeah, he's not playing for you. Like, I'm just letting you know.
That's
right
whack.
Now. Don't even bother drafting him. Like, he's not going to play for you." What happens on the NFL draft night? Well, they still drafted him, but then when it was New York's time to come up and make their pick, that is when they traded with San Diego, and San Diego then ended up drafting Phillip Rivers. And so, he had to hold the jersey. He was not very happy about it. And so it was, these type of things happen. But at the same time, do you blame him? Be honest. If you were not a Cleveland Browns fan and your son was possibly a top 5 draft pick, would you seriously be looking and say, yeah, you know what? I'm kind of on board with this Cleveland Browns thing. Let's get the bag. I don't care if he sucks. I don't care if he only lasts 5 years in the league.
It's whenever the ego just gets ahead of the actual league itself. This is a professional football league we're talking about. You're trying to get your kid to make money, be successful, and be one of those first few draft picks. If he does deny Shedeur to play for the Cleveland Browns, I think that should also cost him the money that would come with that second pick in the NFL draft. I mean, I'm just saying, if that's how it's going to happen, because it's like, the Cleveland Browns are looking to rebuild, all right? I know we've said that, many times, but Deshaun Watson is not the answer. They need a quarterback. I prefer Cam Ward, but seeing Shedeur and the way that he acts, the mannerisms, it reminds me of a young Deion Sanders. And, of course, it's going to be the case.
I don't blame him.
I don't.
But at the same time, when you have a parent like Prime and you have a parent like Archie, these men have been in numerous executive rooms inside of NFL facilities,
Hall
whether
of Famers
as a player and/or an executive. They've been able to go around and meet a ton of executives that are now general managers, and they understand the difference between a good front office and a bad front office. And I think that's a lot of this.
I don't blame him for thinking about the front office with this.
Well, no, and I think that is part of the issue with this. And in one of the podcasts that he had that's kind of going around, it was saying like, hey, look, yeah, Shedeur has Giants cleats, he has Titans cleats, he has Raiders cleats, but he never said he had Browns cleats. And so everybody's going, wait a second, was that kind of another hint at the fact that he doesn't want him going to Cleveland? And I think that a lot of this, again, I always say, I would much rather go later in the draft and go to a good franchise with a great team as far as executives, coaches, and teachers that would help me get better than to get the bag in the first round early on. And I have always said that, regardless as to when I was a player, when I was not a player, because the first contract now is good, and to normal people's standards, it's amazing. But the second contract in the NFL, that's when you get the $500 million, the $250 million, and all those types of contracts. Hi, Stevie. Hi.
Stevie Wonder just showed up.
No, he can see. 256-576-4977. We continue the Cover 5 next with your phone calls as well. 256-576-4977 on the Blitz.
The state's largest orthopedic group is growing to meet the needs of the patients in our community. The Orthopedic Center has long been the most trusted name in orthopedics in North Alabama. So as our area continues on the fast track, so does the need for premier orthopedic care anywhere and anytime you need it. TOC is proud to announce the opening of our new locations in Albertville and Hampton Cove, along with the grand opening of our newest office in Decatur. These clinics will offer the same high-quality orthopedic care you have come to associate with TOC, with the convenience of being closer to home. As a patient, your time is your most most precious asset, and we recognize that at TOC. That's why we are also proud to announce the opening of our urgent ortho clinics to handle those bumps and bruises that need prompt attention. These clinics are available to care for acute orthopedic injuries with no appointment necessary. With 38 physicians, 20 centers of excellence, and now more than a dozen locations to serve you, TOC will continue to be the name you turn to for the best orthopedic care at the right time. Visit our website at visittoc.com for more information. TOC, helping you live a better life.
By now, you know about Eagle Masonry and Insulation, and maybe you know that Eagle also does landscaping and dirt work. But how about after paint work? Shower doors, shelving, and mirrors, all taken care of by Eagle, the same Eagle that takes care of all your masonry, insulation, and landscaping needs. Eagle brings the same level of expertise to all these disciplines, and they're ready to provide you with a free quote. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
At Mr. Sparky, we're America's on-time electrician. Flickering lights and hot switches can be annoying, but they can also signal a major problem, or worse, an electrical emergency. So play it safe and leave it to the experts at Mr. Sparky. Trust our team of professional, clean, and friendly electricians. We'll get it done right and get it done safely.
You don't have to put up with any malarkey. Call 888-8-Sparky.
Independently owned and operated, licensed in the respective state or county.
You'll love the expanded wine selection at Liquor Express. From special occasion to everyday table wines, they've got what you need. Meet your friends at the largest tap wall in Alabama with 105 rotating selections. Then take home a growler full of your favorite or choose from our 1,000 canned or bottled beers. Need help stocking your bar or planning your party? Liquor Express has a knowledgeable professional in-house staff that can assist you with anything from your bar to the planning of your special event. Visit liquorexpress.net for tasting specials, giveaways, and classes.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
It's time to get ready for game day. That means Alabama football and tailgating. Whether you're tailgating at home or at Bryant-Denny, visit Brooks & Collier for North Alabama's largest selection of premium grills and smokers like Big Green Egg, Blaze, Delta Heat, Memphis, and Traeger. Satisfy any palate with our wall of rubs and seasonings. For all your tailgating needs, visit Brooks & Collier at 813 Meridian Street or at brooksandcollier.com. An Alabama tradition for over 75 years. Roll Tide.
Want to save some money?
I can take money and I can make it into more money.
Just check out our zone deals online at 977ESPN.com. We are 977 ESPN The Zone.
Two 56576.
Boy,
there we go. I was like,
see,
dude,
I thought Steve would do it. He was
the
one that was saying
both
it.
Both of you would do it.
He was saying
Steve
it
was
before.
doing it as well. See, there it is. 256-576. Four. Why are you whispering? 977 as we are wrapping up the Blitz on this Wednesday morning, about to turn into afternoon. We appreciate you hopping in, watching us on WZZN TV as well. All you got to do is just simply go to YouTube, Facebook, X, all those places, and you'll be able to watch us and get in on the chat. So if you have questions, kind of like what we did last night with the Havoc Hour, the moment you put those questions in, boom, they pop up.
Yeah, and the Tom Abraham Show, it really shows you that it is going to be the noon. Because, of course, he starts at 12, and Joe will be on that show as well, and it's always a fun time with the big dog, and he'll also be on WZZN TV, so just make sure you subscribe to that so you can keep up with all of the cool local coverage, as well as some interesting things that possibly come this 2025.
Which there are going to be.
Oh, yes, there will be.
There is absolutely going to be.
Before we get into whatever you're about to get into, yes. I'd like to remind everybody that this show has been presented by the wonderful people over at Fleming Roofing and Restoration, the guys you need to talk to about all of your roofing needs. If you're having any roofing problems, make sure you look them up online at FlemingHSV.com. And remember that Fleming always show up.
Man, that was bad. Anyways,
I thought it was good. We were in sync when we said it.
It was kind of in sync. By the way, Mike Bergonzi is having his opening press conference right now up in Nashville, and he says that that they understand that they are with the number 1 pick, how they have the opportunity to look for and draft a generational talent, and that they are not going to pass on drafting a generational talent.
Travis,
but they are open to all trade opportunities. And yes, when you see the quote going around, Travis Hunter's name is the one that is being attached to every single post with that picture.
Yeah, that's a generational talent for sure. I mean, you look at what Shedeur Sanders has done, Cam Ward has done, even Abdul Carter, and you could say these are spectacular players. You don't get much of these guys throughout the decades, but at the same time, you're thinking of a generational? What is this? Generational?
Yeah.
This is the first time anybody's going to see somebody who's first off played 2 sides in D1 football, let alone possibly doing that in the NFL, which I don't think it's going to be all the time, but it would probably be limited, and we might see it at least more than others. I would want to see, how far this guy could go in his career. Could he play 5 years playing both sides of the ball and then call it quits? Who knows?
No, and that is and that's the reason why when you're looking at all the players that you could potentially have signed and or drafted, there's a lot of players like your Traylon Burks and those types of guys who may or may not be on the team coming up in the near future. You're already going to be losing possibly somebody like a Tyler Boyd who you could re-sign if you wanted to, but Travis Hunter could also act as that slot wide receiver or outside the numbers guy.
And I want to know your opinions on this. With Travis Hunter, obviously a lot of the hype has come from him playing both sides of the ball, but if you're just singling him out and putting him at a wide receiver, putting him at just a cornerback, I mean, he is still a top 10, I would say, in the country, but it just doesn't have that same impact from where you could just go and grab one of those top wide receivers. I want to know your opinion on that. Do you think that the team would draft him solely because the hype around him playing 2 sides of the ball?
Well, and I think that for the Titans, they do need help in the secondary. And I don't know how many packages he would be involved in on the defense or on the offensive side of the football. But I'm also thinking of him as a potential punt returner, kick returner. If the NFL changes the kickoff return again and they back it up where you're now actually getting even more kickoffs, a guy like Travis Hunter could be very deadly in an offense like that, in a kickoff return like that. I could see it, and I wouldn't be totally upset with it, but before we even get to the draft, I would hope that there would be some decisions to try to fill holes in free agency that the team needs to make. So that's what we'll be looking for. Tom Abraham coming up at noon today, as we will be back tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve, and we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs: residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single-ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing, we have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates, residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. Fleming HSV.